All right, it's time now for us to bring Mr. Gavaskar into the show. Mr. Gavaskar, good evening, sir. Thanks so much for joining us. First up, your take on the captain MS Dhoni winning the toss and opting to bat first for a second consecutive match in this tri-series. Do you think this is an experiment of sorts by the Indian captain, considering chasing has always been India's strong suit?
Yes, I think India definitely is looking at this tri-series as an experiment to try and see how they will fare if they bat first, to try and look at the different bowling options, the different batting order. So that is exactly what is happening, I believe, and we will see that in the next two matches as well. In the next two matches, perhaps, they would want to chase, but for that they've got to win the toss.
Talking about an experiment, do you think this one was also an experiment, the decision to push Virat Kohli down to number 4? Now this really, Mr. Gavaskar, is a time when the team is trying to finalize the playing 11 and all the 11 positions in the batting lineup for the World Cup. Was this also part of an experiment?
Well, if you actually have a look at the last series that India played against Sri Lanka, the one-day series, you will find that after the first couple of games when Virat was not in form, he was dropped down the order at Delhi, if I remember. Then again, I think he was batting at number 4 when he got 100. So my feeling is that maybe they look at Virat now as a number 4 batsman, and they will either have Ajinkya Rahane in case they open with Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan, or in case they open with just 2 other openers. Then they'll probably look at Ambati Rayudu at number 3 and Virat at number 4. I think that's what they'll probably try and do.
Right, now looking ahead to the World Cup, Mr. Gavaskar, in these conditions where the tournament will be played, the bowling, especially the fast bowling, becomes very, very important. In that context, do you think India really has the bowling firepower to defend the World Cup title this time around?
Well, the problem, I think, is the fact that India's bowlers have really learned nothing from their overseas experiences over the years in limited overs cricket. So that is a worry. We're just hoping that when the World Cup comes, the fact that they are the defending champions will be tremendous motivation. At the moment, it just looks to me as if even the bowlers are bowling well within themselves, because they've had a long tour of a test series, and they don't want to stretch themselves to such an extent that they might cause some injury to themselves going into the World Cup. So I think they're just bowling well within themselves.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, you had told us earlier that maybe it's time for the team management overall to perhaps begin looking for a fresh set of bowlers, not for the World Cup, but in the long run. But amongst the current crop of bowlers that we have to play with in this particular tri-series and also the World Cup, who would be the first 3 that you would pick in your playing 11 when it's time for the World Cup?
Well, my first choice bowlers would be Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Mohammad Shami. I would go in with these 2. I'd go in with Stuart Binney, and I'd go in with 2 spinners as well, because for the simple reason that Bhuvneshwar Kumar can also bat a little bit. He's also a pretty good fielder. Mohammad Shami also can tonk the ball a bit, and he's also a very good fielder. With Stuart Binney and the 2 spinners, they all bat. So I'm looking at a team which will have batting depth, considering the pitches that we are going to play on, where the batsmen might just flounder a little bit as they did here at the Gabba. So if I have a little more depth in batting, it sort of covers all my bases. And I certainly don't want a player in the team who is just going to be good in one department of the game. And if in that department of the game, he's not going to get me those 3 or 5 wickets, then he's pretty much of no use to me in case he's a pretty ordinary fielder, he's a slow fielder, or he can't bat. So that's a team that I would look at going.
Right, you mentioned 2 spinners in your playing 11, Mr. Gavaskar. Between Akshar Patel, R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja, who do you pick?
Well, I think Jadeja's fitness is the main area of concern. For the first 2 matches, he's not there. We haven't really seen him on the field of play as well. And again, that brings us the question that why do we carry people on a tour if they are not 100% fit? If he's going to be fit for the World Cup, then bring him for the World Cup, or bring him a week before the World Cup and have somebody else play. But by not having fit people or people available for selection, we're actually putting a lot of strain on the guys who are available, and actually it limits your options. So it doesn't make any sense.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, let's focus now specifically on the batting, the Indian batting. Would you think it's fair to say that one big area of concern when it comes to the batting is the opening slots, especially Shikhar Dhawan's form, the form that he's been in so far in this series?
Yes, I think it's an area of concern. I have a lot of time for Shikhar Dhawan, particularly in this form of the game, because I believe that he can be a game changer. He got a terrific delivery today. It would have got the best of batsmen, it would have got the best of left-handers out. It was just one of those unplayable deliveries from Jimmy Anderson, who's a wonderful bowler. So I wouldn't get too worried about today's dismissal. I just hope that the team management is giving him the confidence and the belief that he has a contribution to make. It just seems to me that his lack of runs is affecting his body language. And therefore, I believe that somebody in the team should be putting an arm around his shoulders and telling him what a good player he is and what a good player he has been. And it's just a matter of time, like it happened with Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli also went through the horrors not too long ago. But look at the way he's come back. And I believe that if somebody does that, then Shikhar Dhawan will also start scoring runs.
Right, Virat Kohli, Mr. Gavaskar, is actually the one I wanted to talk about next. He's, of course, had a superb test series against Australia. We know he's in form, but he's had 2 consecutive low scores in the tri-series so far. No alarm bells ringing as far as his form is concerned, of course, but in terms of his technique, what do you think he's doing wrong as he switches from the red ball to the white ball?
Well, what he's doing wrong is he's trying something different at the moment. He's looking to go on the front foot and then jumping onto the back foot well within the crease. What that is doing is his head is bobbing up and down. In cricket, your head has to be still. If your head is still, then you're able to adjust the bounce better. Unfortunately, because he's jumping, and have a look at his dismissals, both these dismissals, you'll find that he's taken the front foot forward, then he's got these little sort of jump backwards where it's, I think, putting him off balance.
Right, now I know you mentioned Stuart Binney in your playing 11 initially, Mr. Gavaskar, but let's talk about him a little bit more in detail. He's of course the only fast bowling all-rounder that India has in their World Cup squad. Scored 44, took the only English wicket that fell in the only match that he's played so far in the tri-series. But you would again say that pick him in your playing 11 for the World Cup.
Well, everybody should be in contention. That's the thing. If you have a situation where one or two, if you give the impression to 1 or 2 players that they are not going to be playing, then again you have limited your options. Then your team is not of 15. Then your team becomes a team of 13 or 14. So everybody must feel that they have a chance to play in the final 11. And I think the same should be with Stuart Binney. I think Stuart showed today that how useful he can be. Right. This is again he's coming down at number 6 or 7 to bat, and he top scored. I thought he should have carried on till the 50th over or 48th, 49th over. But again, I think just got a bit carried away by a couple of sixes and missed out.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, final 2 questions. As someone who's played so much cricket, would you say that there are quite a few chinks still left to iron out in the Indian armour before the World Cup?
I think it's more a matter of form. More a matter of form at the moment as far as some of the batsmen are concerned. It's the bowling that has always been my worry in overseas conditions. But they handle themselves really well in England and bowl so well. So I'm just hoping that they'll be able to find the same rhythm that they had in England, where they restricted England and won that series 4-1. That is something that I'm hoping for. If that happens, then India is going to be a formidable team.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, one last question, and this is a question that every Indian cricket fan really wants an answer to. Realistically, are India one of the favourites to win the World Cup this time around?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm pretty confident. Look, qualifying for the knockouts should not be a problem. Once you get into the knockouts, it's really a luck of the day that counts. Sometimes, you play and miss, or when the luck's not going your way, you edge that ball, you take some brilliant catches. So all those things, the luck of the day is going to be an important factor. But if India have qualified by winning most of their league games, then they'll certainly be in the right frame of mind to defend the World Cup.